Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcus Bradley, and welcome back to the XY Perspective. Tonight is going to be our first installment in a series I like to call My Father and I. It's where we sit down with me and my dad. I know we usually go in a panel format, but it's hard keeping those guys employed when you don't pay them. So, me and my dad are going to do a series in between those bigger calls and just go over the things, chop it up for a little while, and see where we go. And so we're just going to do a first installment tonight, and let's see where it takes us. This segment is called, or this series is called, My Father and I. Welcome to the stage, Dad. How are you?
All right, how's everything, son?
It is going great, going great. This is a special series. It's special to me because it's just me and you, and I dig it. So um, I'm just excited about it. See where we go from here. See what happens with it. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts about the segment so far? I mean, this evening.
Well, this ought to be one of those things. Hopefully, that will inspire and give some inspirations to others to understand that things of this nature, when father and son especially can converse and just share, maybe they will encourage and make the path a little easier for some of those others who may see that this is something that can really do some good.
Yes, sir. Yes, I believe the same thing. So tonight, you know how we do on the XY perspective, we get right into the easy stuff. We go right into the easy things. So that I just want to talk to you about a couple current events.
Okay.
It's an election year, so you know how that starts.
Yeah.
Well, and you know how that ends at the end of the year. So it's going to be a wild ride for us. Any comments about what do you think who may run or who may or may not run or be in it, or what do you think about this year's election cycle?
Well, this year's was a little bit more intriguing to see how so many of the participants, what they bring to the table, how
Hmm.
they are able to present themselves, and how well they will be perceived by those of us who will be voting for them.
Yes, sir.
I'd be very interested to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I would too. With the two lead supposed candidates being Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I would like to see some younger, more relatable candidates in there. Not these super old grandpas, great grandpas that can't really relate to what 70% of the population. Like nobody ever asked their great grandpa for advice for things. So why are we letting two great grandpas fight it out to run the country? So that's just my opinion on it. I think there's some more younger and relatable talent who's far more suited probably to lead the charge. So that's my as long as they get the best people in, which they always do. All right, they always get the best person in. So as long as they get the best candidate in, I don't really too much mind. I'll do my research and vote for whoever, but
Yeah.
it's always a rat race and a up and down year, especially for the stock market and other things, and has normal people like us on edge until it's over with. So happy 2024. Speaking of which, this inflation and stock market and all these other things that's going on right now. I wanted to ask you about the state of our black people with being in the middle class, and what do you think it takes to provide a middle class lifestyle? I read a report where they said a $400,000 home with the current state of inflation and how taxes and things are figuring that a person would need at least $100 to $120,000 to afford a $400,000 home in America. And the black community,
Yeah.
that is a possible or plausible condition for black people in America in the
Well,
middle class.
it's something that's going to take some work to be obtainable,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your income. Obviously, what are you doing in what profession? And
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the professions that we are able to get into
Mhm.
may not necessarily provide on its own the means to step up to that level of just maintaining a home, putting a roof over
Right.
your head, and the
Hmm.
expenses that go with it, and to maintain it. Um, how many of us are even ready for something of that nature to have the responsibility of? And if you haven't been exposed to that, getting into it is going to be quite the challenge. Nothing is impossible, so it's been said for those that believe. But you have to also have a realization that you just can't say that you want something and it's just going to materialize when there is so much already stacked against us that we're
Yeah,
having to overcome just to be able
we
to have
we
a $100,000 home or a $200,000 home.
I was about to say, I myself have not owned a home yet, but if it comes down to it, 400 range is not where I'm looking first because I know what goes into that. And they said that report I was looking at said that 100 to 120, that's if you have no car payments, no student loans, and no credit card debt. Then you can afford the 400K home. But how many people we know that don't have credit card debt, don't have a car payment, and don't owe any outside debt like that? It's
Right.
going to be very tough. So to me, a realistic goal for a typical black family, if it's a two-person dual income family, would be about 250, 200 to 250. What do you think about that?
Well, that's a little bit less of a challenge to obtain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a modest down payment, that's another
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Where do we get those funds? So again, it's on the table for us to be able to, I would say, start in a median range, 100, 125, 30,000, and to get the experience and learn some of those things that enable you to grow, to step up into what you may call a more expensive or a more lavish lifestyle. But we have
Yeah.
to be able to start where we can maintain and to objectively see what it takes to maintain that, and to then be able to maybe share that knowledge and experience with our children, bring them up
Mm-hmm.
in an environment where they can see it being done.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you want to enjoy in life, you maybe have to make plans earlier for them,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes reduce what you want to have in order to get what's needed to bring forth a little bit more longevity in your goals and obtaining them.
Right. And that all that I think I would like to add it to that and take it a step further by saying I think the start point needs to be dual income. I think there needs to be a two-person household putting into this because one person making 80 or one person making 60, it's not going to cut it. But if
No,
both are making 60, you got your 120 because kids are going to eat up a lot of that too.
yeah,
We talking about cars, car payments, insurances,
insurance,
medical expenses,
yep,
groceries. Jesus, I mean, that's another payment in itself. So
yeah,
you need a dual income to start with, and like you said, bringing it to the kids. If they see a stable two-person environment and they see that the home has been purchased and we start indoctrinating. I think we start indoctrinating at the oh, go ahead if you got to go. I
yes,
mean,
just
if
for
you
one
got to,
second, sir.
I got you. I got you. Apologize about that. We got another phone call going on. Hey, we're busy when we do these calls, so give us a second. Now, what we're talking about is managing a middle class lifestyle, and like I said, I've been going on with taking the point to making two people the focal point of a middle class family, and we typically find in the black community that that's not true. So we want that to be true moving forward. Welcome back, Dad. I'm glad you're back. We what I was saying was we want the two person base to be the start for everybody's family, and then once we teach our kids, they see the two persons, they buy the home, and then the kids come back. I mean, the kids come up in that house. The parents move, pass on, and they keep that house in the family.
Mhm.
Then when the kids pay off that house or pay off that home, if they keep it, then they use the equity and money's involved in that to then move up to the next step, which may be a 400,000 or 500,000, whatever. And then their kids then does the same thing with them. That seems like a more feasible thing to do, but getting the start for the two parent household to me seems like the biggest hurdle that's facing the black community. Starting actual communities with two parents in the house.
Well, that has been uh, a trend that we have been facing in our community for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it and again, it has been targeted that way. If you destroy the family, obviously, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a foundation to build on, then you're not going to have the trust in each other. You're
Right.
not going to have a belief that it can be done, because if you came up in that environment where it was a single family household, you didn't see the teamwork. You didn't see the effort put forth by parents working together to build that. But again,
Mm-hmm.
we're not trying to make excuses, but the realization is that we still have these challenges that we're facing, and depending on what part of the country you reside in, is even a bigger challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can
oh,
finish. I'm
I was
sorry.
just going to add to that, in our children, what they're facing in this generation, the distractions that they have.
Mm.
Um, it goes without saying that it's just not what we used to see in the black community.
Uh-huh.
Now that there are more freedom to do things,
Mm.
you have more access to information. You The tendency not to listen and hear good advice, those
Mm.
things that will help prepare you for challenges that are coming. They're not being expounded upon, and our
Mm.
kids don't seem to have the attention and the focus that was once there to achieve these things, because they see so much of fast this, quick that, and their goals are just not quite the same. And how do you get them focused on those with all the distraction that they're facing? It just it puts that much more of a strain on those that have family goals to pass on to their next generation.
I'm, I'm,
It makes it
and
that
I'm
much more
witnessing
difficult.
I'm witnessing that firsthand. As with two uh, teenage kids still in the
Hmm.
house.
Hmm.
Preteens, I guess.
Hmm.
They are. I want to say focused on things,
Right.
but not those things that you're talking about. That's going to be used to help propel them to that
Hmm.
next level.
Hmm.
And it is tough to keep them
Yeah.
focused. It
Yeah.
is very, very difficult to say the least.
Yeah.
And I try my best, but it is very difficult, as you say, to keep them focused on the thing. And one of the things I try to teach them about is saving money and investing. So I wanted to ask you first, what is the definition of legacy to you?
Well, I base my thoughts along the line from the spirituality that I came up in a
Okay.
religious household. It's what you build and what you are able to translate or give to your next bloodline to have the same opportunity to do the same thing and to keep it going from generation to generation.
Okay.
Because the word tells me a good man leaves that inheritance
Hmm.
for his children, not just his children, but his children's children. And it
Okay.
takes time for that to grow and develop. And if you start working on it at early in life, it's more attainable than it is getting into your profession, working,
Mhm.
paying for things, but not preparing for those that are coming up behind you. And it takes
Right.
focus, it takes discipline, and
And consistency.
and if you are married, that has to be a dual focus
Right.
with a leader that has the stamina for one, with the focus to be
Hmm.
able to say to my family, this is where we're going. These are the steps we're looking forward to taking to get there. We're going to have some fumbles and stumbles along the way, but there must be a collective understanding of where it goes and the ability to articulate the plan that's going forth to achieve it.
And so, and that goes back, and I'm glad you touched on spirituality. We'll visit that here in a second. But having that plan together and then executing that plan
Mm-hmm.
um, requires that teamwork at the top. You know, man, woman, or husband, wife, or I don't want to leave nobody out in this day and age. The the two people who are in leading the family. We'll just go with that. With the two people that's in charge of the family. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because we don't want to get ourselves in trouble by saying the wrong thing.
Right.
But I think investing has a big portion of that, and as well as trying to save, and education as far as financial literacy goes
Yeah.
will have a definite part in that as well, because we may even make enough money on the job, but what do you do with it? Are you just working to pay bills, or are you just saving it? Are you saving it in a bank account, or are you saving it somewhere else? If you are invested, where are you investing that? If you are you putting it in this or that, precious metals, stock market? It's 100 different kinds of avenues. And they say, well, we don't have the knowledge. That's a load. We do have the knowledge. We just don't hardly know what to do with it. Or do we just go our own way, or do we follow the footsteps of somebody else? Or, so it's a big pot of stuff we can do. And I think it first starts with being able to make enough to save and invest, and then having the education, knowledge, and discipline, consistency to invest long term. Put some money away and not touch it. Because everything being, as soon as you get a little stash, everything is an emergency. Then you need a whole set, or you need a new transmission, or you need a new roof or something like that. Every time you get something stashed away, something happens. So we got to have discipline and consistency to accomplish those things. So how have you approached the investing part of that, with as far as like saving and building a legacy? How have you approached investing?
It's There are many ways to try to build and grow, but
Mm,
most people do not have a basic understanding of growing money. Uh,
okay.
uh, because again, it's 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 been generations, centuries that is already known how to grow money.
Mm,
Back in the Mesopotamia area, where trade took its roots, that is how mankind learned that by trading and bartering, that you can grow monies, and it's not necessarily paper money, but it's your goods, your services, what you have to produce monies. And the more you do that, you get the opportunity to grow it. Here in the States, we have the stock market, we have trading, and we have being the ability to obtain uh, precious metals and things of that nature to store our values. But again,
mm,
when you're struggling so much just to make ends meet, when you're
mm,
having difficulties being able to put groceries on the table, some of those things take a back seat. And the back seat is not just where you can stick your hand in the back seat like we can today and maybe tap that little child, say, okay, that's enough now. We're not able
Mhm.
to reach in the back seat because, again, we're on a bus and you
Mm.
can't get to the back seat. And because of the challenges that are persisting in our lives.
Right.
But again, you have to put forth the effort. And if you are single, that is even that much more difficult. But in a family,
Mhm.
you have to be able to put forth some strategies to say
Right.
that here is that basic thing called a budget. We're
Mm.
looking at what's coming in. We're then going to sit down and look at what's being paid out. We see what we're
Mhm.
bringing in. And if there's anything left, we have to make some concerted effort to put some of those funds to work to grow money. Because
Right.
again, I don't care how hard you work, I don't care how many hours you put in, and it doesn't matter how much you're making, you by yourself or you and your spouse cannot outwork money working for you.
Exactly. And there's
Because
some
again,
terms.
it's working 24/7, whereas we're not able to do that.
Right. And if that, and that's if you have the engine to do so. But
Yes.
most of the times I'm finding out that it's hard for people to even access those engines,
Mm-hmm.
and it's even more so if it's a good engine, you're not even gonna see it. You're not even gonna smell it. They ain't gonna let you sniff it. You won't know about it unless you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Right.
And again, what us as brothers and sisters run into first, if we overcome the two parent thing,
Mm-hmm.
then we get access to jobs that bring in income that gets us an opportunity to invest and save. Now we got to filter through and weed out all of the bad agents that that don't want us to be successful. The bad agents that don't want us. Oh yes, that's a good investment. Knowing all
Mm-hmm.
along it's a scam, it's a
Right.
Ponzi, it's this and that. But we don't know no better. We don't know no different because we don't know.
Right.
And how long can we say we don't know? Because I know there's black folks out there with access to billion. They're billionaires. They're black billionaires out there, and they know how they got their billions. They know where they stash their money. They know.
Mm-hmm.
All we need is one of them, just one of them to break the code
Yep.
and get it to us, so we can start accessing these engines and things to get us moving in the direction that we need to. I think it's the more the merrier. I think if there's a bigger middle class, the upper class, higher level class would be bigger itself.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're trying to do is eliminate the middle class and have us all at the bottom, and there'll be
Yep.
very very few at the top. And that's a house of cards that may fall.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of, I ain't gonna say shoot ourselves in the foot, but it behooves us. I'll use that word. It behooves us to not get out here and get this education and get information and then give it away,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't keep. I mean, these other people, and I won't say who, but they've had hundreds and hundreds of years head start. So they got all the trial and error is gone.
Yep.
They've pretty much cemented their systems.
Mm-hmm.
They've got it all in place, and now they got 4, 5, 6 generation head start. For most
Yep.
of us, like for me and you, you're generation one. I'm two.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both we're both at the very beginning,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you're at your age, I'm at mine, and we're both behind the curve.
Yep.
So it's an uphill battle. I say that it's uphill on ice skates, really,
Yep.
because we're still in the trial and error phase. So, but I'm glad you touched on spirituality, because I wanted to ask you again how important, like being a healed, complete person, how important is spirituality in all of this? Where does that play, especially for you?
It's for me. It's an extreme
Mm-hmm.
importance because again, there are some things that are taught and that are instilled in you when you are in the Word, because you're dealing with things sometimes that is beyond just you to
Mm-hmm.
achieve and accomplish, and without hope, without faith to give you that inside fortitude and to know that you have a God that's on your side to put those faith and trust and belief in. I can tell you right now, from what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, man is not going to be the answer.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way that's going to happen. We see where man and his system that has been built to work against us, we have to continue to have our faith and trust and belief in the God that we serve, who says that all things are possible.
Mm.
Not
Okay.
some things, not a few
All things.
things, but all things.
Right.
And
And
your
we,
faith without your works, without a working plan,
mm,
that's dead. That's the
yes, sir.
not my
Yes,
word.
sir.
That's
That's, that's,
that's
in
that's
that's
God's
it.
word. It's
That's
dead.
it.
No matter
And,
how hard you think you can try, how many hours you can put in,
mhm.
the God that you serve will be able to. And I can say I'm a witness. He will open doors that were not going to be available for you to open.
Mm.
But He makes a way, as we say, out of no way. And to
Yes, sir.
me, these basic principles that our generations now are not having, they're not having these things instilled in them, not being taught, not being shown. They don't see
Well,
mom and dad maybe going down on their knees praying. They don't see
right.
the food being blessed before it's eating. And these are just principles. I myself do not see how you can overcome those things that are put in front of you to
Mhm.
keep you stumbling, to keep you struggling, to keep
Well,
you
here,
not being focused on the things that will allow you to come through. You're not going to be able to overcome them.
right.
We're,
But
we're
you
just
got,
human, just like everyone else, and you're going to succumb to those fiery dots that's being
yeah.
thrown at you. And if you don't
Ex-
put on that whole armor to protect
mm.
yourself and keep the faith, you will succumb to it.
And that's the one thing I wanted to touch on, that, having that whole armor is paramount. But now we got to look at how, and notice I said spirituality and not religion, because we see what's happening to religion. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at all these pastors and all these bishops and all these, um, men of God, of the cloth even, are just being exposed as being these, not who they said they were. We'll just say
Right.
that. And if they can be taken down, and they were supposedly anointed by God to lead the flock and be the shepherds and all these things, and these guys are getting taken down, left and right. Like, who do you follow? Who do you follow? Who do you turn to? And if you want to have a personal relationship with God, which is fine, and your spirituality is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
who do you go to grow that? How do you build that up? Because I think that's one of the, I have it as, I have the four pillars of man. I want to start, bringing that out with the XY perspective. It's financial, physical, emotional, and to cover all of those is spiritual. So you
Mm-hmm.
think like three pillars. You got three pillars: emotional, physical, and financial. And then to cover all of those with spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So those four pillars of a man needs to happen in order for a man to be complete. And
Right.
it's just so difficult, well, as far as religion wise,
Mm-hmm.
to even, that's, if you've noticed at your church, the male population in the church, if it's shrunk or is it even existent,
Yeah.
you know, uh,
Yeah.
and I know at some of these bigger churches, 80% of the audience is all women.
Well.
And now the pastors even preach their sermons to placate the women. I mean, and it's like every service about a guy is, you're not doing enough. You're not doing, and guys are like, man, I'm not going to listen to that. And so they
Right.
head out. They don't come back. So our
Right.
presence, black men's presence in the church is falling. The pastors, the leaders, quote unquote, are being taken down left and right. And religion is just being challenged at all corners right now. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we can't talk about the education system because we know that's a joke. I mean, we got grown people that are graduating high school and still think the earth is flat. The education system has failed us in spades. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we turn to the church for guidance, and then we on a hang up there. So where do black men turn? Where do we go from here
Yeah.
as far as spirituality?
Yeah. It's 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 one of those questions that has been asked, um, even when we have our meetings, and in the men we're talking and asking the same question: how do we better prepare our generation, especially our young men in particular, to get back into God's word and
Hmm.
just getting them to come to church, not just because it's something that we're trying to force upon you,
Hmm.
but to understand the growth and the maturity that it gives you, being rooted in God's word. And because again, it gives you a different perspective on how you see things. And
Hmm.
it helps you to be able to understand that there are things going on around you that are bigger than you, that you still have to be aware of.
Right.
And the word tells us to watch while we pray. And the word of God, there's going to be an answer for pretty much everything that you come in contact with, because God words tells us there's nothing new under this sun. It's just a
Right.
different generation and a different time that same thing is occurring. But again,
Hmm.
we're facing a challenge that's going to be monumental, and it's going to take more of us as men to come
Hmm.
together to try to put forth and it's bigger than just a working plan, but it's
Right.
almost like a strategy
Right.
how
I,
to,
I think it's a plan of attack
yes, on multiple levels.
on multiple fronts. Yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
and and from you being in the military, I know strategically how to put forth a battle plan. And again, you're
Right.
going to be on multiple fronts, being able
Exactly.
to deal with what what those fronts are, what you're preparing for.
Yeah. And you as well with in law enforcement for a number of years. If you need a
Mhm.
SWAT team to go in the front and the back at the same
Yes,
time, and
yes,
in the
yes.
building is pitch black, you don't have here's what we do. You plan it out before you
Yep.
breach.
Mhm.
And if we approach it as like that, it's like spiritual warfare. So when you start
Yes.
and see that gets me like excited because that's what I do. That's my thing. I have absolutely no fear of the enemy. Whoever that may be or whatever that may be is facing me because I believe and that we've
Mhm.
already had the victory. So we've already been told we're gonna have a victory. I'll put it like that. So
Yes.
what are we
Yes.
afraid of? What are we worried about? We just got to execute.
And we
And
have to remember that the objective
mhm,
is not to seek and destroy, but
mhm,
to embrace and build, so we can educate you. And this is not coming from a distract, because again, I'm not your enemy.
right, right.
Never have been, never
Hmm.
will be. This is
And
coming from
brothers,
a different perspective, and this is a warfare to save, to bring forth salvation. And
because
if
you
we're
saw this.
Christians, we have to be Christ-like.
Mhm,
Christ didn't come here to condemn; He came to save.
right, but we don't. We as a lot of our brothers don't even see each other or
Exactly.
Christian like or whatever. I
Hmm.
know you've seen it 1,000 times. As black men, we got so much smoke for the next brother.
Yep.
You step on his shoes in a crowded place. Oh man, I got to shoot this place up. Or you bump into
Yep.
me. Hey, watch where you going. Blah 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 blah
Yep.
blah.
Yep.
But let one of them come in.
Yeah.
And we getting out the way, and it's yes sir boss, it's no sir boss, it's this or that.
Hmm.
But if it's one of us, and all we do is, we might even say something unintentional, and it's
Right.
now I have to take your life. Is that kind of stuff?
Hmm.
And I first respect each other as men is one thing, but I can't even imagine the amount of energy it's going to take to get guys to believe in God, and the power of faith in your words. You know how your words have power, and you can speak. And I know you talked about manifesting earlier. And you can
Yep.
manifest all day long, but if you just standing there manifesting, you're gonna be standing there by yourself for a long time.
That's true.
Until you get a plan and start working. But
Hmm.
brothers don't even see brothers as brothers, so to
Hmm.
speak. And I'm like, sir, gentlemen, we got to do better than this. But
Yeah.
for the longest in the military, you can't say nothing,
Hmm.
because you're contractually obligated to not say nothing because you have no political opinion. You just got to execute the orders
Right.
that come down.
Hmm.
And I love my family and the place where I live, so I protected it. And If I can just get people to, especially brothers, if I can get them to respect themselves first
Right.
and then respect other brothers, then maybe we can start to approach the subject of building that spiritual man up, because they can go work out and get physically fit. You might can get a job and get financially able, but where are your emotions at?
Yeah.
Can you emotions? Where's your faith? Are you
Yeah.
spiritual? Any of those? So you be incomplete.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of the adults are getting frustrated, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to come up with ideas of their own
Mm-hmm.
instead of coming together to, let's see if this idea of yours has some merit. And if it
Mm-hmm.
does, let's get behind it so we can help increase the exposure of it, so that we're working on it not as individuals or as a small group, but we're spreading ourselves and spreading the idea and the principle. I can remember the stories that were told to me, uh, how the bus boycott was so effective because you didn't have everybody out there trying to do his or her own thing. They came
Mm-hmm.
together and put
All
forth a
right.
plan, and everybody that was with the plan pretty much stuck to it and executed it, even with the difficulties. But it was one of those efforts we put forth. And we got to do this. We have to move forward with it. We put the plan together. Now let's execute it.
And no matter what, you stuck
Right.
to it,
Yep.
even if that meant you had to walk across town. Now Montgomery ain't very big, but walking is walking. And I think the bus boycott took place in December, right? It started in December, like November, December, I think,
Yeah,
in
with
Montgomery.
yeah, with Miss Parks on the bus. That was in the
Uh-huh.
month of December. Yes.
And then so after now you got folks walking across town in whatever work shoes they got in the
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun, but they did it. They did it because they had to. And
And
it's and,
and a lot of the
uh,
meetings took forth where? In the church.
churches, in the
Because
churches.
you didn't have
And
very many other way areas that you could go to where you could meet in masses. So
and
the church played a
mm,
crucial and pivotal foundation to be laid to bring
can
forth the plan.
can you imagine how folks would act if somebody was legally able to tell you where you couldn't go and meet, where
Yep.
you couldn't go and sit, where you
Right.
couldn't go and eat, which water fountain you couldn't drink out of right now? And
Mm-hmm.
see, you were born into that. And it's hard to imagine, but you were born in a segregated America. So this is not like it's hundreds and hundreds of years ago. This is you. You experienced this as a child,
Yeah.
having whites only this and colors only that.
Right.
That's insane to think about. And what we got today, people are like, oh, it's still such a struggle. No, it
Mm-hmm.
ain't. We make it more difficult for ourselves by doing silly stuff,
Right.
because half the time back then when you were smaller, you just couldn't do.
No, wasn't gonna
You
happen.
couldn't. Mm, mm.
Yeah.
And man, so our struggle now is to get over ourselves. Mostly, I think we're our own worst enemy, so to speak. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
tighten up, and but we don't have many men leading the charge. There's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
who is the next Martin, next Malcolm?
Yeah.
Where is he at? Where is he even born yet? And we got years to wait before he can be able to speak how he needs to.
Yeah.
Where's that guy at? Cause,
And there's some
huh?
different fronts that we're facing now, and
Mm-hmm.
especially those that are doing their best to see what they can do in this new technology uh, field, especially with AI coming to the forefront. When it's been around
Mm-hmm.
for a minute, but again, we're not the first to know.
Right.
we we just hope we get a chance to know.
Yeah, and then has it changed by the time we get that info?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And how much
Is it
has been
obsolete?
yeah, how much has been learned and earned even before it's available for us to even find out.
I hate being on that. That's why we need people. Well, I think we have people. These. Jay-Z's and Oprah's and all that stuff. They've been around money long enough. They know where some of this insider stuff is. But they gotta break the walls down with those things and let us in. They gotta let us in.
Yeah, and
So,
it's a challenge, and it's a challenge even from where their perspective is, because again,
mm,
if they do their best to try to help us, they know that they're going to get attacked, and
oh,
but again, at some point, that
mm,
concerted effort to bring us together as a people must come to the forefront.
mm. And somebody's got to sacrifice.
Yes, big time.
Martin sacrificed a sacrifice, you know,
Yeah.
and even unintentional people have sacrificed it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's right.
So let me ask you real quick: was Malcolm right? Was Malcolm right?
Yeah, he had a perspective of having your own, and
Right.
that's crucial.
Okay. That
That's
is.
something that has uh, been stated long before he stated it. Having
Mm-hmm.
our own, um, and when the opportunity presents itself for us to do that, it's crucial. Being dependent upon others to do for us
Mm-hmm.
when we are able
Right.
to do for ourselves, that should be paramount,
It.
and
Yeah. No.
to the point to where that should become a part of our theme. And again, we're not
Exactly.
talking about being so exclusive that we don't need other people. No, we're not talking about it from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But you grow and you build by having your own, so you do have something to pass on, and
Mm-hmm.
your next generation to look forward to.
Like like Black Wall Street, for instance,
Yes.
Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
got burned to the ground. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What I did know was that through insurance and other things, Black Wall Street got rebuilt
Rebuild. Yeah.
all the way, and it was back running again.
Mm-hmm.
What eventually killed it was integration.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what really destroyed Black Wall Street. Because I was like, if it got destroyed and we just haven't rebuilt it, we have the knowledge, we have the money, we could rebuild it ourselves. But it got rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
But once they integrated, that's what killed it. That's what really destroyed Black Wall Street. So when you think about it like that, the key is we have the ability to get our own.
Right.
But we were so caught up in trying to be inclusive. Let me eat where you eat. Let me drink the water fountain you drink out of. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get access to the school you get access to. Once we integrated, we lost ourselves in their system. And now we can't find our way out, to the point where now it seems wrong for a black person to say, why can't we have an all black school? It seems wrong, doesn't it? Just saying that out loud, it seems wrong. Man, that's racist. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not. Why can't we have a black bank? Why can't we have black gas stations, black grocery stores? Why can't we have those things?
Right.
Well, you sound like you're racist, but I'm not, though, because
No. No,
you
because
think every other neighborhood has it.
that's not to say I'm not going to serve. I'm only going to serve black people. I'm going to serve
Hmm.
people. What I
Right,
have, I can
people.
bring forth, and any and everyone that wants it, they have the opportunity to come get it. But if I don't have anything established, you're not going to ever see me in that way.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
going to always
And
be looking for me to spend the billions that's been already been recorded at on an annual basis that black
no, it's
people and black and brown people spend. If that was working, if it works for you, then we need to make sure that it works for us as
that
well.
that was a T, not a B. That was 1.2 trillion black dollars
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
annually. 1.2
annually.
trillion
Yeah.
annually. Now imagine the power we could wield
Hmm.
if we had localized banks, gas stations, grocery stores, doctors' offices, all in our own communities where all we live at, like the Jewish people, like Hispanic people, like some of the white people, those gated golf course community, they won't let you buy a house, even if
Mm-hmm.
you got the money. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they'll send you over there where the bruh's at.
Right.
They'll let you know that. So why can't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we just have our own stuff? It's aggravating because that's the key. Now there are societies that will allow you to thrive, but they're not
Right.
here. They're international.
Right.
Now, how big of a chore that would to get people to exodus America and go to these other places? That's inconceivable right now for me. I'm looking at it; it's inconceivable. But there's a hope. There's a hope that may happen because that's the only way I think we'll make it
Hmm. Yeah.
eventually. I think we should be able to, but man, we so far down the road from that. I can't see that horizon yet. I can't, I can't see it. But our grandkids may. Your greats, my grands, so they may see it, but I don't know. So let me ask you about that then, about Grant. If you had a chance to have a conversation with, I want to say, 16-year-old you,
Oh man.
16, 16-year old you got a chance to go back for an hour, give him some advice. What you gonna tell him about today?
Okay. Sit down. Let's have a talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard it. I don't know how many times. Put some money away for a rainy day,
Mm,
and it was raining all the time, and I didn't even recognize it was raining.
mm-hmm.
But that is one definite conversation I would go back and have with myself to say, look, that 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 paper route that you started out at age 14 when you were
Mm,
making just a little bit, put some aside, even if you put it in the bank, five,
mm.
10 $10.
Hold on, we lost you for a second.
I was, it was really understood that I would have that instilled in me to put money aside, and it
Right,
would have grown in me. And the
right.
things that I was doing as a teenager, the albums, yeah, there were
Okay.
albums back in that time.
All right, all right. I'm gonna
That
have to
I
come
was
see some of
spending
those.
money on, and
Uh
the
huh.
things that I was doing to for enjoyment,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been able to have a better understanding as to what it was to save and to grow money. Because again, at some point later in life, it's going to be a greater need for it, and you would have it instead of having to use your credit card to swipe and to max out just to be able to have those things, not realizing that daily compound interest on credit cards, on mortgage payments, on personal loans, and things of that nature, they're compounding every day, and they eat
Every day,
at what
every
you work
day.
so hard to have, and you don't realize how devastating that is until you look at it for yourself. And when I saw for myself how compound interest works, it was frightening to know that
What?
it
That
was
kind of money.
working against me, but it was devastating to know that I didn't have opportunities to earn it.
Okay.
So those types of conversations, this Tony would have had at at age 16. uh, Pay attention, and this is what you're going to do, not what you should do, but this is what you're going to do, and I would have made sure and ensured that that would be done.
Before I answer my question, I want to welcome a special guest to step in and say hello. My mom checked in.
All
You
right.
know, we don't have very many. We don't have women at all on the panel. Oh, okay, she's still muted. She want. I just say wave to the camera, man. Just say hi. There are those fingernails. You see her? That's her. She's checking in on making sure we do all right. Thank you for stopping in, Mom. We appreciate
Okay, I'm finna
you.
leave.
Oh. Okay. That was my mom, everybody. So had mom and dad on the show at the same time. Now that's special. That's special. Now the same conversation almost that I would have with myself is put money away as well. But the thing that hurt me the most is when I got in the military, I started drinking,
Mm.
and that was a demon that I had to battle for a very, very, very long time with the military. So I would first tell myself, put money away as well,
Mm-hmm.
but then don't spend any of that money on drinking.
There you go.
Because I could go back and just take that money that I spent on that. Man, I could have a nice little nest egg because it was some tough times in the army. It was some tough times, with marriage and divorce and marriage and divorce again. And then kids and deployments and all that stuff. So one main thing that I would say was not to start drinking as well, and just those fun. Cause mom tried, she was in there. She would have been able to tell you. She tried. She made us pay bills when we was, high school. I think I had to pay the phone bill and half the electric bill.
Okay.
And of course, I had my argument. I like, Mama, I don't have any friends. I don't talk on the phone, and I'm barely here. I'm either at school and football practice, and track practice. I'm not even here. Why am I paying all this electric bill? But it was to build responsibilities. But we never talked about saving. We never talked about investing. We never talked about 401ks. We never talked about future planning. Now, insurance was just basic medical. It never was stuff with living benefits and all these things now that we're getting into. So she didn't have that knowledge, and where she came up, nobody had that knowledge. So how could she give it to us?
Right.
So that if I had that opportunity, now I'm taking back all this information and I'm leaving a book. We don't have a conversation. I'm gonna give him a book. Hold on to this for dear life.
Right.
And follow some of these examples, and also put some money in Apple and Microsoft. First little money you get, put in Microsoft and Apple and roll with it. You'll be okay. Trust me, you'll be okay. But those are some very, very important situations. Now we have the opportunity, like father to son. And when I get him on here one time, I'll be able to talk to my son about the same thing.
Right.
And that's what men have to understand is the most important. Not how much money you spend on the kids, not, Jordans and other things like that. Just being there. Being there, being around them, giving them your energy, giving them your knowledge, going to the game if you can, or just going to the park, throw the ball around, something. Just being there and having your presence felt starts a tradition, because if they feel good about it, then they'll want their kids to feel good about it, and they'll do the same thing. So those are very important conversations that I would have, and just like I said, not drinking and try to save, man. Try to save, because it is rough. Yeah. It is rough, and here we are at the crossroads where either we're going to evolve or we're going to be destroyed.
Right.
And I don't want to see us destroyed, but if we can't come together, man, it's
that's that's a crucial component of coming out from where we are.
And stop being scared.
Yes.
Us talking like this, we shouldn't be afraid to talk like this. We shouldn't be afraid. Men shouldn't be, and not just in the barbershop, because that some of that are productive. Most of it is just idle chatter, hollering at each other about football, but nothing comes out of it most of the time. But if we can have those same conversations like on this platform, and then men are not scared to be honest about it. Like, here's a terrifying question that may break a lot of men. You don't have to answer it now, because I know we have. Describe the relationship you have with your father. Do you know the how loud the silence would be in that room if we asked a group of men that?
Yeah.
Because they'll be afraid to answer. And we can't do nothing if we always afraid of everything. Like, I think Martin had to be scared every day. Malcolm had to be scared every day, because he knew their life was it, but they still went out. And they still had the speeches, and they still did the marches, knowing people was out for their lives, and they risked it all. For a life they never got to see. All that dreaming, and we still dreaming. 50 some years later, we still out have a dreaming, and ain't nobody waking up, and it's turned into a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we're gonna be able to do this on live next month. I want everybody to understand that next month we're doing a XY Perspective show live at the Healing Summit, Broken Bound but Becoming Healing Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, at April 27th. And we're going to go live. We got the panel live, myself. We all going to be suited up, and we're going to do a show live. So we're going to bring up some more topics. We're going to do these things, and we're going to have an opportunity to get the audience involved. And I know you'll be there. My son will probably be there. We're gonna get it going. And some of the things I wanted to ask them, and you tell me if you like these. What are some of the good and bad in marriage, and what are the risk versus rewards of marriage? You think that's a good topic? So, come on, man. You can tell me. You can tell me. You think it's a good topic for you?
That's a loaded one.
That's one. That's one of the. See, I got a full clip. I think I got a full clip of those. Like another one. If you put on the Infinity Gauntlet like they do in Marvel, and you had a chance to snap, as a man, you could snap your fingers and fix one thing in your relationship. What would it be, and how would you do it?
Okay. Okay.
What do you think? Hey, is that too much? Is that too heavy? You think it's too heavy for him?
Yeah, these kind of questions, they're definitely going to need some time for prayer.
No, we got to get. That's why I want to do it live. I want those live reactions. I want the wives' eyes to be wide open as they see their husbands struggle with
Yep.
What are you about to say?
I can already hear a lot of them say, "Well, you go first. You go first."
Oh yeah. And even if they don't, and not answering, will probably get them in worse trouble. That's one of those where if you're gonna be in more trouble. Because as soon as they get in the car, be like, so why don't you answer that question?
Yeah.
What you want to go eat? It's gonna be live. It's gonna be live there. Another one I'm gonna ask, and it's probably another one I'm gonna ask is it real or myth? Is a black Superman real or myth?
Okay.
And not so much as a guy that can fly through the sky with a cape,
right?
Because we know that's fiction. But if you're a good man, or compared to this quote unquote, they use the term high value or whatever, being a black Superman, probably you don't have to have any money, right? You think? So well, I'm go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish up.
I'm hoping that I could stimulate, quote unquote, some conversation with some of those topics. Of course, I'm gonna ask the panel some questions about managing emotion and the things we've already discussed: managing emotion, accountability, shame. Right. I might put a couple of panel guys out there so we could. The goal is to get them to see how men have a space provided to by the XY perspective where we can go and talk to one another and not be judged in a negative way. And you can be honest, you can be open, and you can receive information as well and not have anybody down you or belittle you and think of you in a negative way, because we all have emotions. Right. I mean, that's human, but you just can't be emotional. So, but if you are in a place where it's safe and you can get some of this stuff off your chest and you can talk about some of the things, here's the platform to do so. So we have what's available. Even what me and you doing now.
Right.
How many guys would pay money to be able to sit and have a chat with their dad, good or bad? Right. Just sit down and talk to them, ask them those important questions. Like you said, the ones that those loaded questions. Mm-hmm. How often, how therapeutic would it be for some guys to have that opportunity to do so? So that's where we're at with these things, and that I could keep you on here forever because we can open up a whole can of worms, but we gotta have something to talk about next time. I don't know if how often do you think we can do this? Once a week, once a month, twice a month, maybe every other week. It's up to you, cuz it's up to you. I think we can do this twice a month. I think just sit down and do this for about an hour. Like we've been on here an hour almost. I think we could do that.
If there's no conflict in scheduling, I can see that.
Right, right. I do too. I think twice a month is enough to where we can touch. We won't miss too many details coming out. You know, like if something major happens, like another January 6th, we go, like, oh man, did you,
Right,
did you
right.
see that? Did you talk about that? And just have just chop it up like we've been doing now. I'm enjoying this. I kind of don't want to cut it off, but look, I know you got other stuff to do where
Mhm.
you at, and I got some other things. But if I do have one announcement I want to make, and I want everybody to give me 1 second. Give me one moment. Hold on, hold on. Could you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had just I was going to make an announcement, but I can't bring up the flyer right now for some reason. It's escaping me. But I want to um, invite everybody to come to the panel, the live panel, April 27th in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be on my Facebook page. I'll put some more information out, the details in the flyer. I'm going to be doing the live panel at the Broken, Bound, but Becoming Healing Summit. And it's for men and women. And I want guys to come because we need healing as well. We suffer in silence too long by ourselves. The suicide rate in America for men is tremendous. It's a new suicide every 7 minutes for a man in America.
Yeah.
That we got to do better than that because I think suicide is where you just accepted that there's no way out.
Mhm.
But the crazy thing about it is the worst thing has already happened to you and you made it out. You're still here.
Yeah.
So why then take yourself out the game after it's already happened and you survived that? So, but somebody that they can trust, tell them that and then give them a reason. And we have to be that reason for each other. So healing starts there and we can be a part of that with the XY perspective. If you want to touch on that at all. So
Yeah.
I,
That's going to be tremendous, and I think this platform is just one that can help put some things in place that gives some measure of hope,
mhm,
some something to know that it's not all bad in the world.
mhm,
There are some good things, and if we can get this type of exposure to many more people in many more different locations, I think they will begin to at some point gravitate to it, and how this can grow and help just one person that we each know,
mhm,
how much difference that will make in not just that person but the person that's in their lives, their children's.
mhm.
And we talk about ours having father son conversations, but let's not forget the daughters that
Mhm.
make such, having a man that they grow up trusting and believing in helps them to be able to identify, hopefully somewhere in their life,
Mhm.
what type of man that they want to
Mhm.
have in their life, so they can start to build that type of union that we talked about, where it's going to take more than one person to make this happen within the family.
That build that trust.
Yes.
Yeah, that's such an important word because it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And what you said about daughters, because we both have daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and you know there's nothing in this world, and I know you can relate that you won't do for her.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that I wouldn't do for mine, and
Yes.
and now you have great grands and I
Yes.
have granddaughters, so and they get the same treatment. It's the same treatment. I just get so excited when they call and get to talk to Papa, and it's the best thing. I'm on cloud 13 whenever they call. So, but that's got to be the standard. We got to make that
Mm-hmm.
being cool. It should be cool to be a father. It should be cool to be in your kid's life,
Yeah.
because right now it's just not. It's not like
It's
being a
not there.
stepdad. Yeah, being a stepdad used to be celebrated. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's not. it's like you're a wallet, a walking wallet. And I'm a stepdad, you know, but you know, I have a mate, I have a wife, I have a spouse that sees me in a light that I've never been seen before. So that keeps me motivated and inspired. Now, everybody don't got that. So I'm one of the very few lucky ones. So it's we got one heck of a task on our shoulder
Oh yeah.
to try and bridge this gap. And I can't even call it a gap. Like more like a canyon.
It is.
You know, so I don't know. Did you see that bridge fall? And speaking of bridge, you see that bridge fall in Baltimore? I think was that in
Yeah,
Baltimore?
it was Baltimore. Yeah.
And what happened? Right? What, like, dude, stop! But throw the anchor down or something. Do something. Don't just. I don't know. That was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather you drop anchor and rip the boat in half
Mm.
than the dude just crash into that thing and kill all them folks. But what you got for the rest of this evening? What you got for us? For anything you want to say? Anything on the way out? Or
Well, I just want to say that again. I can't tell you how proud I am of what you're doing, what you're putting forth, and being obedient. If God put this on your heart, how being obedient to what He tells you, that goes a long way to show that this was meant to be. And I'm
yes,
thankful, grateful to you. And anything Dad could ever do, you know, I'm just a phone call away. Let me know what part I can play in making it happen.
yes, sir, yes, sir. And I think we're gonna more out of these than not. And I would rather just keep this going, and we'll bring the panel back in when everybody's ready. Because it's hard getting all five of you guys together because everybody's scheduled and everything. But I thank you for the kind words, and I will definitely be giving you a call, and we're definitely going to be doing more of these. If you're watching this, I want you to comment whether you like this format and how we can improve it, or just give us some pointers and stuff in the comments, or DM me or whatever. And we're gonna keep announcing these. I think, like I said, twice a month maybe. So look for us in about 2 weeks. See if we can have another one of these. I thank you. I appreciate you, and I love you. And we're gonna call it a night. And I hope you have a good evening now.
All right. We'll talk at it.
All right. Yes, sir. Good night.